Hi, in this video we will discuss about AWS CloudFormation. This is an introductory video to give an overall idea of what CloudFormation is. So let's have an introduction to CloudFormation. Before we start, let's discuss something else, an example, that a scenario that you want to build a house and you want to do it by yourself, sort of DIY stuff. So what you need to do? Well, a lot of things. Just some example: you need to purchase all materials, you need to build the house, the construction, and as part of that you need to do plumbing, electrical installation, and water sort of things, and many more things, paperwork, and probably before doing that you will purchase the land and so on. Now, if you want to build the house by yourself, it is of course it's fun, but it might be a hassle. Now, if you could tell someone that you need a house and all the specifications and they do it for you, then you could have a feeling that you have actually automated building the house. Now, let's assume that you have some robots. They're very smart, human-like robots, let's say, and you just tell the robots that you need a house, and you give them all the instructions on how the house will look like, what would be the design, what kind of resources they should use, what kind of materials they should use, let's say the quality of the material that would be used to build the house, and so on. So you just specify everything, and you give the instruction. Let's say you have written the instruction in a paper and you gave it to the robots, or you just gave the instruction by recording an audio or video, and they are doing everything. They are building the house based on your instruction, and you feel that you have just automated the task of building the house because you just give the instruction and the house is being built by someone else. And this is exactly what CloudFormation does for us. So CloudFormation is just like your robots in the example that we have just seen. You tell CloudFormation what you need, and it does those things for you. So instead of you do a lot of things, you configure a server, or you build a website, or use some resources to provision an application on the cloud. You just tell that, hey, I need this, and this is how I want to implement that application. Can you do that for me? You ask CloudFormation, and CloudFormation does that for you. So if we want to come with a more formal definition of CloudFormation, then we can say that it is a service of AWS that takes care of provisioning and configuring resources and services, and eventually it eliminates the requirement to do those things manually, which is automating the manual steps. So the way you give instructions to your team of robots to build a house is exactly the way you work with CloudFormation. So you write instructions and tell CloudFormation that, okay, these are the things that I want to achieve. Can you do that for me, please? And the file where you write all those things, of course, it has its own standard, it has its own syntax, own grammar. We'll look into how to write instruction for CloudFormation in some other tutorial, in some other video. For the time being, it is enough for us to know that those are called templates. So the template has its own syntax, grammar. There are specific ways to write template that we'll see in some other video tutorial. So what you do, you write the template and you give it to CloudFormation. In other words, in template file, you give the instruction or list of the things that you want CloudFormation to do for you, so that you don't have to bother, you don't have to spend your time doing all these things. So let's look at an example. You want to have a virtual machine, virtual server, where you want to install a web server, and in that web server you want to put a website so that that website can be accessed by people from all over the world. At the same time, for your virtual machine, for your website, you want to ensure security and user accounts. And now you have two ways to do that. The first one is you can do it manually, which is create or launch an instance in EC2, let's say, install the web server on your launched instance, then put the website contents into the correct folder in the web server, configure everything, as part of your launching the instance, you configure the security group, security policy, you probably going to create users, and so on. So there might be a lot more to the list than I have just mentioned. So this is one way, and the other way could be you just write an instruction in a file, which is a CloudFormation template, and you give it to CloudFormation, and you tell CloudFormation that, hey CloudFormation, can you please do all these things for me? I want a virtual machine, virtual server, I want a web server installed in that virtual machine, and then I want to put this website there, and all these parameters, all these kind of security users and everything that you mentioned here. And you just give the file, instruction file or template to CloudFormation, and you just sit back, relax, probably have a cup of coffee, and see it is being done. So you feel that you have automated a lot of tasks, and we'll see later on that CloudFormation has a lot of advantages. One of the biggest advantages is when you automate tasks by giving the template to CloudFormation, you eliminate the possibility of human errors, because when you want to do all these things manually, as we see in number one, we might, due to human limitations, human factors, we might make some errors, probably a configuration error or some parameter we might enter by mistake. We might enter wrong parameter, and eventually we might find that the things are not working the way it should. But if we can write the template and give it to CloudFormation, and CloudFormation will not make any mistakes. So in a nutshell, that is CloudFormation. CloudFormation is one of the Amazon services, cloud services, where you give instruction as in the form of template, where you say the list of things that you want to achieve, and CloudFormation does those things for you, giving you the feeling that the things are being done automatically. So that's how CloudFormation makes your life easier. Thank you.